Hi, this is a disclaimer. I wanted to say I don't condone any of these videos, and these are for educational and spiritual growth. Please don't try this at home. Hi, my name is Patrick, and I want to tell my ayahuasca story. Um, Back in January 2015, I flew out to Colombia, and I went out there with an ex-girlfriend and her sister. Her sister was on heroin. She was trying to get it off and she wanted to help her. The girl I brought was a 24-year-old yoga instructor from Boston living in San Francisco. And she wanted to really get her sister help. Also, I had a vision when I took mushrooms that I'll get into later, but that actually made me want to go to do the ayahuasca. I had a friend that had been living out there for like 8 years straight doing ayahuasca constantly out by the Amazon jungle, and he moved around, but I had talked to him about it, and he told me a lot of crazy stories, and I was like, wow, I want to experience this, and I wanted to do some healing. The girl that I was with, my ex-girlfriend, she wanted to help heal her sister, so we ended up going out to Bogota, and after that we caught a bus. I think it was like a small minivan bus, and we paid. There was trips going back and forth, and we went about 4 hours the first day towards the Amazon. We got there to a little town, and I can't think of the name right now offhand, but I'll put it in my video in the future. But we got to the little town, and they hated Americans. They didn't want anything to do with Americans. So my friend was from France, had been there for 8 years. His name was Fred, and he said, hey, don't say anything. Whenever we go anywhere, you just keep quiet, because if they hear an American, they're gonna go crazy, not serve you, kick you out, and who knows what else. They're crazy out there. At the time, I think George Bush was in there, and they hated him. I don't know what he was doing, but whatever it was, yeah, it was crazy. So we drive out 4 hours past Bogota into the jungle, and the first night we go to a little house out in the middle of nowhere. There's a little shed, and there was a shaman. They call them taitas there in Colombia. They're called taitas. And I went there, and I didn't know what to expect, but there was probably about 10 or 15 people, more like around 15, and they were all doing the medicine together. Some of them were foreigners. One guy was there, and he was sick. He had cancer, and he only had a little bit of time to live, but he was really trying to heal himself with the medicine. The medicine has a lot of healing properties. It can heal your mind, they say. But anyways, I'm going to keep going. I take it the first night, and I'm with my ex-girlfriend and my friend Fred from France, and my ex-girlfriend's sister, and we all drink like little clay cups, a little bigger than a shot glass, maybe 1.5 shot glasses in a cup, and that's a dose. They gave me a dose. I feel it, but it feels like I maybe smoked a joint. I didn't feel a lot. Wasn't hitting me. It hits you when it's meant to hit you. It's crazy. But I drank another cup after that, and we went through the night, and the sun came up, and I didn't get high. And neither of the girls got high either. So we were like, okay, wow. All right, well, let's go to a different shaman, Taita. And my friend Fred said, I know this other Taita, and he makes good medicine. So we went there out to the jungle in the middle of nowhere. And there, all there was a thatch hut. And this shaman had feathers all over his head, kind of like American Indian style, but he had a whole headdress of like parrot feathers and feathers from the Amazon, but it was bright. And he was wearing about literally his whole chest was covered in a goat hoof necklace that he made. And when he walked, it was like click, 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 click. I mean, everywhere he went, you could hear that stuff. It was very magical clicking. And that night, there was probably about, at that circle, there was probably about in between 30 and 40 people, closer to 40. And some of them were as old as 100 years old. There was a guy there that was like close to 100 years old. And there was a newborn baby that they were giving it to too. And in Colombia and the Amazon and everywhere they do ayahuasca, it is the religion. The police officers do it. The judges do it. Everyone in the country does it. Everyone does ayahuasca. It's crazy. It's a thing that everybody does. Like the whole, like everybody. It's kind of a religion. Pw.Mama. I'm out there. I don't really know what to expect. And I'm with my ex-girlfriend and my friend and her sister. And there's about 35 other people there that were like natives. And they were trippy. They were all like practically tribes people, but out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the Colombians are like Colombian Indians, but I was there, and my friend said, I want you to have a good trip, and we're in the middle of nowhere, so it's getting dark, and they wait for it to get a little bit later, like around 11 o'clock. That's the time they do it, 10, 11, 12. That's when they start taking the later hours. They give me a cup full, just a little clay cup, and it was like 1.5 shot glasses, is how I described the amount. And I wasn't really feeling. He said, my friend said, hey, have one more. So he gives me one more, and then he says, I want you to have a good experience. So he takes me out to the jungle and away from everyone. He takes me about literally a football field away from everybody, and I'm in the middle of the jungle by myself. And he takes me to this giant ayahuasca branch, and it's hanging off a tree. It's because it's a vine, and it's hanging off a tree. And he says, hold on to this branch. You're going to have a good experience right here. And it's a moonlit night, and I'm holding onto the branch, and I'm looking across the valley. I can see this whole valley that rolls all the way up, and there's this mountain range about 10 miles away. And you could see it because it was a moonlit night. It wasn't quite full, but it was bright. I'm out there, and I'm not feeling anything, and I'm like, you know what? I was spiritual at the time into different things. I've always been. I mean, I was raised Catholic, but I'd been interested just looking for God. So I knew some Hindu chants, the Ganesh chant, and some other chants, Shiva chant, and I was chanting in the jungle. I'm like, I'm in a meditation, and I'm ready to have an experience. So I am chanting, and I'm feeling high. I feel like I smoked a joint. I don't feel like anything very strong. I'm just like, it feels like okay. So then I'm looking across the valley, and I can see up this mountain range, across this jungle. I'm looking all the way across this jungle valley, which was probably